we should get them to talk to someone who's gone before, Karen.
Yes.
Peter just sent me a reminder, time to jump in here and get this
Yes.
show started. So welcome everybody, and delighted to have everybody here for our district pets session. I'd like to mention particularly some of the people that we should introduce. Peter Rofe, who's our district trainer, who is works with me on as I go through the different years. He goes through them with me, and so you see him as your president-elect. You'll also see him as your presidents next year as our district trainer. Nancy Eidsvik, who is responsible for organizing so many of the things we do around the district. Lauren Calder, our current district governor, and Lauren is going to be speaking, in case you didn't see the note, Lauren is going to be speaking at the end of this session about the Ukraine situation. And we've also got Drew Antrobus, who is doing double duty here. He's our district governor nominee designate, and he is also one of the presidents-elect this year. And I think Shirley Pat's not here, right? Okay, so this is the district pet session. It's shorter than it would have been in person. We had planned this session for the Friday afternoon at Pets, when it would have been several hours in person. And just as with the rest of Pets, we've had to swivel and do it this way. So we've deliberately made it shorter, so we won't go into as much depth in some areas. We want to respect that you've had a lot of Zoom time with pets, a lot of screen time with pets already. Today, we want to share some thoughts about the upcoming year and our plans. We want to hear what are your concerns as you come out of pets and look to your year leading your club. And we want to give you a chance to interact with each other as you move to implementing your club enhancement plan.
And good luck. We'll see you.
And I hear somebody's got a little bit of feedback, so can everybody mute if you're not speaking? So with that, I will ask Peter to start with the first poll.
So this poll is about your level of confidence, and president-elect only, please. And be frank, because we can't track who's saying what. So let's go with the poll. Okay, I think everyone's done. So we have a mix of levels of confidence. That's great. That was to be expected. So we want to make sure we're there with you the whole way through this process and on into next year, of course. If you need anything, please speak up, and we'll follow up and support you in any way we can. So we'll stop that. And
Okay, thank you, Peter. So to start, we'll I'd like to give a quick overview of where we are with pets. Peter has sent notes out, so you will have seen that we're well aware that not everybody has managed to make all of the sessions and do everything on the learning plan. So the different parts of pets, and they're all still available, are the Learning Center courses, the 12 Learning Center courses that are part of pets, and the 4 that are optional parts. We ask you to, if you haven't done that, to please go to My Rotary and go through that. There's content there that was not part of the core courses or the priority courses and was deliberately left out of those courses on the basis that the Learning Center would be an integral part of the Total Pets experience. The core courses are available. Peter sent the note out with the link. Of course, the breakout sessions are not part of that, so they're a little shorter if you were looking at those. But if you missed any, we would ask that you please go and view the recording. Likewise, the priority courses, which are available through the link. And the plenary sessions, also available. The core courses and the plenary sessions are also available on the Pacific Northwest PET site. But Peter's really given very helpful links to everything. So, that's the route to go if you've missed anything. Or if you want, as Karen was pointing out, if you want to show something to your club. And PET's experience includes what we do with district. And we're part of the multi-district Pacific Northwest PETS, which is the main PETS experience. And hopefully it will return to a face-to-face option down the road. But the district PETS includes the pre-PETS session, which we had in January by Zoom. It includes this session and possibly a post-PETS check-in, likely in May. So that's all part of your global PETS experience. So I know that it's been different, and some of you have experienced PETS in different ways. Some of you are return presidents-elect, so you've had that background. I'd like to open the floor briefly for any comments, concerns, questions about PETS, any gaps that our training team should address. And when I say gaps, I mean that both in terms of lessons learned for next year, and I know there's a survey that you will have seen from PETS, but any comments that you've got, and we're certainly open to that. Peter and I would be happy to get any comments after this in terms of how we can do PETS better, but also what gaps there are that you're seeing in terms of your learning experience. If there's something at this point that is a gap, feel free to say so. So I'll open that up for discussion at this point. Okay, if there isn't any, that's fine. We will.
Thomas and Linda.
Oh, Thomas?
Or Linda and Thomas.
Okay. Oh, okay, and I see Linda's too. So, okay, Thomas, go ahead.
Oh, ladies first, come on.
My goodness, Thomas, what a gentleman. Thank you. I think the only thing that I would say, and a little bit of it I think will be alleviated with this session, is that I really missed out on getting to know the other president-elects in the district and getting to know everything that we're going to be doing in the district, kind of bringing it back home a little bit more. The other PET sessions were very international and everything that the organization is doing. And I'm really missing out on more of a home style PETs for us in District 5040.
Well, thanks for those comments. And if anybody doesn't know, Linda is a veteran of face-to-face PETs as well. So I'm sure you were there when you were on one of your previous journeys. It indeed, the face-to-face experience. I mean, and we heard from last year's presidents-elect who worked with Lauren. Some of them were repeat and had the ability to compare and contrast firsthand the experience online and the experience face-to-face. And of course, the experience face-to-face is got some wonderful elements that people are always come away enthusiastic from. And so we really hope that we can go back to that. But I think that we've done remarkably well. PETS has done remarkably well making the best of the pivot to what reality forced on us the last 2 years. Thomas.
Yes, thank you, John. Yeah, there are still 4 months left until the end of the Rotary year, and I really hope that we will figure something out to do a kind of District 5040 PETs in person for the smaller gang here, like 40, 50 president-elects, that they really have the chance to come together and have a PETs experience, even if it's not the full-fledged program from Seattle, but something district-based, that would be great, because then I'm listening to all the other presidents-elect. This is the main gap we are missing here, that we don't have the opportunity to meet in person and have the joint experience in the real world. By always being a supporter of Zoom, but it's a different animal.
It absolutely is. And Thomas, I know you're one of the most adept people in the world at dealing with technology and Zoom. But still, I think we all feel that way. I don't know what the opportunities are going to be. I mean, one opportunity that we've been looking at is whether we can piggyback a little bit with the Prince George Conference and see if we can do something there. So that may have a little bit of potential, but I'm not sure. We've obviously just opened up to where we're now able to take a look at what we can do. We've been looking at the year ahead sessions as to whether we can do something there that's hybrid. That's looking dicey because of date problems, but we'll make a final call on that shortly. Manuela.
Yeah, hi, thanks, John. So definitely I missed also the in-person experience. I mean, that would have been probably very beneficial. Me as being first-time president in the new Rotary year, I thought all the information was a bit overwhelming. I mean, the talks were good, the interactions were good, that was all perfect. But when I review what we have learned, it's very confusing. So I don't see a straight path yet for my presidency. And I hope this morning that will clarify a little bit.
Okay, well, and keep reaching out if there are things, give Peter or myself a call anytime. And if we can help to sort anything out, we certainly will. Lorianne.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks, John. So I would say ditto to everything I've just heard. I just remember all of the past club presidents here in Quesnel coming back from PETS and just being in awe of everything Rotary. I mean, I know deep down inside of me, Rotary is that thing, but it's that enthusiasm that you get from personally meeting the whole Northwest family kind of thing. And especially this year, knowing that I missed the opportunity to meet the incoming president of Rotary International, being not only female but from Canada, like that, it's just like, oh, I mean, lovely to see her on Zoom, same with all of you people, but to know it's that handshake or that drink afterwards that I really, really miss. So, if there is something that we can do up in Prince George, I mean, it's only an hour away from me, an hour and 20. Okay, hour if I was speeding, an hour 20 away from me. I would really love to sit down and have a chat with all of you and a drink and just, try and get some of that enthusiasm that I know that past presidents have had.
Okay, thank you. Karen.
Yeah, I wanted to thank John and Peter. I thought you have been fantastic in your support and your direction with all the training leading up to PETS. And I thought, I've been to PETS in person several times. I thought it was very well organized. I was impressed by the virtual. Of course, I did what everybody's saying. It's always better in person, but I thought it was really good. The only thing I found is that, and maybe because it was sort of the last sessions, I found that some of the topics were too long, like the actual, not the plenaries or anything, were just a little bit too long for my taste. But other than that, I was extremely impressed by it. So I just want to give that publicly, state that.
Thank you, Karen. Melinda.
Hi, good morning, everyone. It's I really have to follow up and say the same thing. I'm kind of a huggy kind of person and touchy-feely and get to know people. So via Zoom, it's difficult to get to have those personal contacts. So I'm with you as well. And the thing that jumps into my mind is maybe we could have smaller, maybe a luncheon or something in the close-knit area, say Richmond. There's 4 clubs in Richmond, Burnaby, you know, Tawasin. And that might be an opportunity to get to know people as well. So it brings you closer, because I do miss the interaction with people. However, I do have to say you guys did a fabulous job for all the speakers. The plenary sessions were absolutely amazing, and I really felt excited to start. And I agree with you, Lorianne. I think that Jennifer Jones is going to be amazing, and I'm just excited for the new year. So, and the one thing I will say, and this is kind of off topic, but I struggle speaking in front of groups. I get a little bit nervous. So if there's a way we can help us, new president-elect, so we're not so nervous, that would be great.
Super. Well, I really appreciate all the comments. You know, so many of these are just so spot on, and for many of us that have been to PETS, we're absolutely on board to trying to do as much as we can face to face. You know, PETS is sometimes likened to the sort of fire hose kind of approach in terms of all the information that's there. And that's true. That's been true when it's in person, and it's also obviously true online. So I like the idea too of the areas getting together. You do have your assistant governors, and they are certainly great people to bring that suggestion to. They can perhaps help get something organized. So, but by all means, where that can work, that's terrific. Okay, well then I think we are ready for our second poll, Peter.
Right, so the second poll is how has the Learning Center and PETS met your needs? And again, PEs only. I think that's it.
Connie, love, I'm on mute, so there's no, you don't have to creep around or anything. I'm on mute, so don't worry about it. I hear them, but when I'm talking, they can't. Like it's right, they can't hear anything in here.
Somebody thinks they're on mute, but they're not.
They are now.
Oh, okay.
So there you are, the results, and that's good. That's a good, solid response, but not everyone's fully up to speed. And again, what we can do, please let us know, and we'll follow up in any way we can. So thanks very much. And just want to, okay.
Thank you, Peter. Okay. Now I'd like to say something about our district plans and priorities for next year and beyond, and invite comments and questions. The comments and questions, though, we will ask that you hold again till the end of my remarks. I'm going to be covering a number of topics, and so you may want to jot down some notes if there's anything that you want to ask, particularly about the earlier topics that I cover. But I think that's the way that we will be more efficient with our time. Now, when I talk about the next year and beyond, one of the things I want to highlight is our governor team, and our governor team, which includes Lauren and myself and Shirley Pat as district governor nominee, and Drew, as we introduced earlier, as well as Darcy Long, who's our immediate past district governor. And we work as a team, and I think we work really effectively as a team, and we cross years by doing that. And it's really important that we have that kind of continuity across the years. The G team is a team, and the years are not silos. Oops, that will go away in a moment, I'm sure. Here we go. And so we would encourage clubs to take the same approach. that really your club leadership needs to be cooperating across the years. I think this happens in most clubs very well anyway, but I think it's one of those things that we need to remember, that the years do relate to one another, and the leadership in those years needs to relate to one another to be most effective. We do embrace new ideas and change, of course, but we do it together. So that's the start point. Now, the strategic planning process is something that we've been embarking on again more fulsomely as district as we're emerging from COVID. We were trying to do a face-to-face last month, didn't work. Went back to Zoom for that, but we have a strategic planning process that we're operating at district. You will see more on that. It will. We're still in process, and we expect to have some documentation completed in terms of where we are, maybe May, June, that will give a little more specificity to where we are with our district strategic planning as we move forward. I'm really pleased that we were able to use the strategic planning team at district that has been so effective in helping a number of clubs with their strategic planning. John Bathurst and Bala Naidu have been leading that, but with a number of facilitators, and that's been doing well. And so we wanted to use that same expertise and process as we did our district strategic planning. And even though district is a different animal in terms of how that works, it's using that structure and people has been very, very helpful. Now, often at District Pets, we explore selected priorities in some depth. We're not doing that today, but I'll say a few words about some of them. Justice for individual Rotarians. Clubs can't do it all in Rotary. We have choices, we have priorities, and there's this whole wealth of things that we can do in Rotary. You know, I find it, I don't even know or understand everything that are the options that we have in Rotary. There are so many, and you know, it's something that I think we all have to be cognizant of, that we need to focus what we do and decide, make a conscious decision about what we can do, so that we are effective in the areas that we're operating. That also means that strategic planning is really important for clubs. And so I salute those of you that are well into strategic planning process. And I think most clubs have been there and are checking in with their strategic plans. And certainly district has got a really good committee that can help and provide resources to help you with strategic planning. Now, the purpose of district, I really want to stress, is to support clubs. And that's something that is very clear for us. It's clear from Rotary International. That is the purpose of district, to support clubs. We do other things as district, and that's fine, but the core is very much to support clubs. And when we can do other things, that district can have initiatives, and that's perfectly fine. But in terms of supporting clubs, that's absolutely job one. And it is, some of it is pretty easy to see, some of it's less easy to see, because we do things that ask you for information, for instance. Some of that's pretty necessary if we're going to provide support. So it doesn't always show up as direct support, but that's really where we are. And that's something that it's important for us to keep stressing, and it's important for clubs to feed back. If you need support, you know, we need to know that. We want to provide leaders with easy access to resources, and your key contact is your assistant governor. The governor team, executive administrator Nancy, incoming executive assistant governor Murray Wood, committee chairs, website these are all resources that are available to you through district. And we greatly encourage you to reach out and use them. But the assistant governor will help you pathfind. The presidential theme, Imagine Rotary. You've heard it at PETS with the plenary session, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it here because you've all heard it. And it's Jennifer presents really well, and it's a great theme. One thing that I do want to stress that we will, coming from that we were expecting, and that's diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's very clearly something that Jennifer has been promoting and wants to see develop further. It's something that our district, I've realized as I've gone through the district governor training, and we've had this same kind of interaction with other districts as we're having here today in our district, that we're way ahead of the game in terms of DEI compared to some of the other districts. And we've gotten started. Dave Hamilton was really keen to get this rolling, and with Marnie Fraser and Ardith. And Ardith is the chair of our DEI committee in district. They've really been making a lot of progress. And Ardith and with Peter Rolfe have done a survey that you're hopefully aware of. And you'll be hearing more about DEI because we're pretty keen to move with district as effectively as we can. And with DEI, there's a lot of different elements. And one of the things that I like to highlight is that this is something that hits really close to home when we're talking membership, because you don't immediately necessarily think of membership when you're looking at DEI, but really there's a lot of, there's a lot of things that can help there that show up in terms of membership. The year ahead, we will be having year ahead sessions as we do every year. And the year ahead sessions, we have been looking at whether we can do them on a hybrid basis. And as I say, as I mentioned earlier, we'll make a decision on what we can do that way. But we'll get them scheduled. The one part of it is already scheduled, and that is the foundation sessions. And the foundation sessions will be held on April 21 and April 23. And Lauren is our district governor, but he is also our incoming district foundation chair. So he'll be succeeding Del Peterson. And Lauren is obviously very, very well equipped to lead our foundation approach. And you'll see some of that when we have those foundation sessions. But a reminder that if you want to do anything in terms of grants, it is a requirement that you have somebody at those sessions. And also the course that is on the Learning Center. And ideally, we'd like a couple of people from each club to take both of those. But you have to have somebody from the club that's qualified, or you aren't able to get either district grants or global grants. So major priorities for the district, and you'll be seeing those highlighted in the strategic plan. And so I'm not going to say a lot about them, but they include membership development, which is always kind of right up there for all of us, as for any organization. Cause-based clubs, which is a relatively new innovation. And Jennifer has asked my class of district governors to sponsor at least 2 cause-based clubs in each district in the coming year, which is a challenge for us, but we've certainly had some effort there, and Lauren has been working at that this year. And so we'd welcome thoughts about where anybody sees potential for cause-based clubs. New clubs are always, there's a little bit of a mix sometimes in people's views about new clubs because you don't want to cannibalize existing clubs. the huge experience is that it does not cannibalize existing clubs, and that we actually get way more people involved in Rotary when we form new clubs, because it tends to cater to different Rotarians. And sure, one or two Rotarians might move from a club to another, and boy, but if that happens, we're really contributing to making the world a better place in the bottom line if we can get more people involved. Other priorities, we've got the foundation, obviously, which is always a priority, and it's in great hands. The public information, public relations, we've got our challenge there. We've got, as many of you will have seen, we had Andrea Johnson unfortunately passed away earlier this year, and that's a huge gap. We were needing to fill that role anyway. Her term was ending July 1, and so we've been recruiting, and we are still looking both for an ongoing chair and for committee members. So we really would invite this group, if you know of anybody that might be interested, appropriate to help at district, to let us know. Peter Rove, on top of his many other duties, has taken on the interim chair of that committee for the rest of this Rotary year until we can get somebody in place before July 1, if that happens to work. But Peter has stepped up and is trying to put together a group of people that will be able to work together on this moving forward. So we're not just looking for a chair. We're not even aiming particularly at chair only. This is a case of like, who can work together, because there's so much that we can do to be more effective if we've got a few people working there and working obviously with the clubs, because this has to coordinate with the club. DEI I mentioned, and youth is another area that is always a priority for our district. Our district's really strong on youth. We've got Linda here, who's the chair of our youth committee, as well as the president-elect. And the youth programs have gone through the mill in terms of COVID, and we're coming out the other side, and they've been able to do some planning and preparing, and hopefully we're stronger than ever as we get back into full-blooded youth programs. And finally, I'll mention the peace initiatives. As a very strong district in the area of peace, we have set up a new committee. Well, it's not a new committee, it's a rejuvenated committee, I should say, that's going to take an umbrella approach to peace, and Ardith has agreed to chair that. And we've also got strong committees in particular areas, the peace facilitators with John Anderson, and many of you will have seen the facilitators out working with clubs, and the Gloria Stout with the Peace Scholar World. But there are many other things that Rotary can be involved with in peace, and Ardith and her committee will be taking a look at what's appropriate in terms of our district, and so you'll be seeing more of that. My visit schedule, the DG visits, I'll work with the AGs, hope to do them all face-to-face. Ideally, we'd have a schedule that we would be putting on the table in Seattle at PETS, but of course with COVID, it's been shifting sands as to what everybody's been doing in terms of meetings and so on. But I do want to get to every club face-to-face. That's the objective. I will try really hard to make that happen. And I'm following in the footsteps of somebody who has done marvelously this year. Lauren Calder has managed to get his district visits done, and he's got the great majority of them done face-to-face despite all the challenges of this year. So that's been great, and I certainly hope to get there. Administration. I want to touch on administration, the topic we love to talk about. We hope to minimize the load for administration for district and for clubs. And we do hear that people are concerned that they spend too much time on administrative things. And really, we want to be, we're all Rotarians. We want to be out there with hands-on stuff, helping the world, doing volunteer work, and making a difference. And that's where a lot of us want to concentrate our time. But we do have a requirement for some administration, as with any organization. There are some things that we can't duck, and we do need to spend some time on administration, but we want to both minimize the load and we want to make it effective. So we're kind of explicit about having identified that as something that we need to address. We do need a couple of things. We do need the goals that you're asked to get into Rotary Club Central. Hopefully you know how to do that, but if you don't, we'll talk a little bit about that later. But we need your club goals, and you'll work with your assistant governors through the year to take a look at progress towards those goals and any gaps and things that we need to do to help in terms of district world. So that's one thing that for sure is an admin item that needs to happen, but it can be done basically in a way that's fairly streamlined. And we are also going to try to minimize the use of any other data outside Rotary Club Central. We've asked for some indicators outside that we're going to try to cut back on and keep that as streamlined as we can. The other thing that I want to flag is CRC's, criminal record checks. For people who are working with youth and vulnerable adults, criminal record checks are not optional. And we really want to underline that. We've been having really decent progress in terms of more people are completing criminal record checks. That's very encouraging. And we need that to keep chugging along. We don't entirely know the population that has to have them. It's a great idea for all Rotarians to have them. That gives us the most flexibility. People can work with youth or vulnerable adults. We don't have to worry about it as to whether somebody's got one or whether they don't. So it's great if we can encourage everybody to get them, but it's not compulsory in the sense that you have to have one to be a Rotarian. If you are not going to work with youth or vulnerable adults, it's not compulsory. We have asked the clubs to give us a report on each of their Rotarians and vulnerable adults who, sorry, each of their Rotarians and volunteers who work with youth and vulnerable adults, and what their status is for criminal record check. And these have been slow coming in. And so we've asked the assistant governors to work with the clubs on that. And we want to get those reports in along with an attestation that they are complete, that in terms of covering the population that needs criminal record checks. Because we have an obligation in terms of, we have a youth protection policy, and we're subject to audit from Rotary International. Our insurance is based on our complying with our own youth protection policy. And until we can get these reports in from the clubs that show that we've got criminal record checks for the people that need them, we can't really say that we're following our policy or that we are able to handle an audit from our eye. So that's something that we will keep going with. It's something that's gone to your presidents, and you will be, hopefully it's all done by the time you become president, but we will need them updated as well. Not a hard thing to do. And your assistant governors can help and so on. Not a hard thing to do, but it's just one of those things we've got to pay attention to. We also suggest that you try and make life easier for yourself as far as admin is concerned. Presidents-elect can look at options in terms of recruiting a volunteer in their club for some of these administrative things, not necessarily your secretary. Some people may be adept, interested in doing things on the computer that will let them be the guru for entering the Rotary Club Central information. Perhaps criminal record checks or something that can be handled with a youth protection officer in your club, who also might have more general responsibility for paying attention to youth protection, which is a great idea. Also, if you in Club Runner, if you make sure you're identifying directors for youth, membership, Rotary Foundation, that then district is able to communicate with them directly in those areas. And you don't have to, as president, you don't have to be receiving everything and directing traffic with it and making sure you send it on and so on. And because things do get missed that way, they get delayed. And so it just makes life a whole lot easier if the clubs are all indicating who their directors are when they're filing their stuff on Club Runner. We're looking for volunteers at district. That's always true. We're always looking for volunteers at district. It's same as clubs, of course, anything else. But at district, we've got, as I mentioned, public information, public relations is a priority right now. Please suggest anybody you've got. And also, please consider a district role yourself, especially after your year as club president. I mean, we recognize that you're fully engaged right now as president-elect, and you'll be engaged as club president. And so we're not really trying to load you up with district role right now. But the thing is, think about it down the road. You'll be exposed this year to more of what district does. Many of you have already been exposed and have had roles at district. But think about that going down the road, because that's it's another area that of service that can be really interesting, exciting, provides opportunities for development, and we really want you to think about it. It also, when you volunteer at district, every district volunteer is still an active member of their club. Clubs are where things are at with Rotary as the very basic organization. And that's where things need to happen. That's why district is there to support clubs. And when we volunteer as individuals at district, we really need to stay active as club members, and people do. And then there's great synergy between what's happening at district and what's happening in your club. So it's a role that actually helps at clubs as well as providing a contribution to district. Before closing, I'd like to touch on installations. I'm sure you're planning yours. Happy to attend as many as I can, but you should also feel free to invite any of us from the governor team. We'd love to see as many of you, the district installation will be June 21 in New Westminster. So we do a separate district installation, June 21 in New Westminster. We'd love to see as many of you as can make it. And well before the installations, you should have your theme banners. The original plan was to get you those in Seattle. And now we'll get them to the AGs, likely April 23, when we're having the Lower Mainland Foundation dinner. And at the same time, we're planning assistant governor training. So we should have all the AGs together at that point, and we can give them the theme banners. Also the pins, we've got pins for each Rotarian, and we've got a brief bag with the theme logo and so on it for each of you presidents-elect. So if we don't get that material, we want to make sure we get that material to you in advance of your installation. So you've got the banner particularly and the pins. But if you don't get it, remind your AGs, because they should have them as of April 23. Finally, please feel free to challenge district. And I really welcome that personally. As I said earlier, our purpose at district is to support clubs. but we want to do that better. And we can only do that if you're telling us what are your felt needs, how we're doing, and when we ask something, does it help? And does it use your time efficiently? Please let us know. And with that, I'll stop and open the floor to questions.
Well, John, Paul had his hand up during the presentation. Maybe Paul still has a question.
No, it got answered in the chat. Thanks. It was just about where to find CRC information on the members.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Other thoughts?
Linda.
Linda. Linda, you're on mute.
Sorry, I saw Bill had his hand up. Maybe he can go first.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, thank
Bill.
you.
Okay.
No problem. We're in Gibson's, we're planning the opening or the presentation of myself following that theme of, we read in Rotary magazine about someplace in Texas where they did a major invite of every Rotarian was supposed to invite 10 people, right? And out of that, so that club, let's say they had 20 people. So that was 200 people got invited. I think it said something like 70 showed up and 20 people joined, you know? So we're planning something along that lines, and we're gonna make a big hoopla out of it and try and create a lot of excitement. And I believe, I'm not positive, but I think we got Mr. Barry committed to coming to the club that day. Am I correct? Or?
Yeah, no, you're right. Absolutely. Yeah. Chris reached out. No, I'm delighted.
Yeah.
I'd love to be there.
We're excited about it. It was a great article to read. If you haven't read it, you know, look it up, and you know, I'm sure it'll help. You know, I'm done.
Super. Thanks, Bill. Linda, and if you can use the reaction button with the hand, I'm probably going to be better at seeing you. But by all means, wave if that doesn't work. Okay. Linda, we have you. Yeah.
Just two really quick things. One regarding CRCs. I just actually happened to have a chat with Ron yesterday. So we're going to be updating the instructions to clarify a few things, because there's been some challenges this last little while, which kind of demonstrates that the push to get everybody compliant is actually working, because Rotarians are going out there and attempting to get their CRC. So that is wonderful. But there's really three things that you need in order to get your CRC, or your club members to get their CRC, and that is a computer, a cell phone with the BC Services app, and your BC medical card or services card. And we don't have that really designated in the instructions, so we're going to update that. And the other part of that too is that if any of your clubs ever need assistance, like one-on-one or personal assistance in doing CRCs, please let me know, and we will get somebody to your club to assist. We can bring in our laptop. We can actually do it on site if they have the information with them, and just get it done. And really quickly, the other one, on any youth programs, same thing. Now that we're kind of getting back to in-person meetings, if anybody wants either a presentation or assistance with any district or club youth programs, let me know, and we will get somebody to your club. Thank you.
Thanks, Linda. Karen. Karen, you've got your hand up, but you're on mute.
Sorry, Linda. It's a question for Linda. The chief of police of West Van is a member of our Rotary Club. Does he also need to get the criminal record check?
I would say yes.
Okay.
We're not picking and choosing based on occupation, so everybody should. It just keeps everything nice and streamlined and clear.
Well, I'm sure he has one, and that's one of the problems. They aren't transferable. Like if you have it somewhere else, you can't transfer it, right?
No, there is. Yes, they are.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah, so we can send you some further information on that, Karen, if you want to find that out. Okay.
Okay, please do.
I think it would be kind of fun to tell him he needs to get one.
Yes.
Oh, well, the thing is, but the bottom line is he does. I mean, it's true in some situations you can use the same one if it's on the justice system. But the thing is that everybody needs one for Rotary. There are no exceptions. If you are working with youth or vulnerable adults, it's very black and white. You have to have a valid CRC with Rotary. Nancy.
I just need clarification, John, on what Linda said. So did Linda say that if a member has a CRC with another organization, it can be transferred to the Rotary?
Well, the thing is, it can, yeah, it can be in the sense that if it's on the justice system, the justice ministry system, you can give permission for it to be shared. Okay.
But I would say, Nancy, sorry, John, I would say that the preference is that that you just go out and get one under the umbrella of our district. It's free. It's, if you have all of the information, it's really quick. It's 10 minutes in order to do it online.
Well, that's a good information, Linda, because a lot of questions come is that I have my CRC with this organization. Why do I have to get another one?
Yeah.
So we'll pass that information on.
Yeah. Sheila.
Yeah, I've had a number of my male members say that even when they've done it online, they've had to go in and get fingerprinted. Using the BC Services app, does that reduce the number of people, or is it still going to be the case?
No, it's the same situation. The thing is, the using that app is a change that they've made, but it's just a process change. The deal on fingerprints is that they don't tell you exactly why you might be required to have fingerprints. My last CRC was the first one in my life that I have not had to have fingerprints. And it has to do with somebody who might have the same birth date as you, somebody who might have the same name as you, and they've got criteria that says when they need to validate your identity. And so it's a bit of a black, you know, a bit of a black hole as to who. But when you do, you need to go in and get fingerprints, and that is from your local police. And the process with each local police detachment or varies. But you do have to go in and get fingerprints. Some of them are a little easier to navigate than others.
Yeah. And can I just, sorry, can I just add too on that? It doesn't just happen to men, especially older men. I've been having CRCs done forever with sporting organizations and such. And last year was the first time during COVID that I had to go in and get my fingerprints done. And that was a challenge because all of the detachments were closed. So if you run into that, it's understandable that it's going to take you a little bit longer through the process, but it can be done.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, Arda.
Thanks, John. Every now and then there's something that's weird that happens in a situation like this. And of course, it had to happen to me. When I tried to do this, I downloaded the BC Services app and did everything I was supposed to do. And at the end of the process, the BC Services people told me they couldn't validate my identification. And so they sent me to the senior team, they called it. And the senior team advised me that because I received my card, because it was issued in 2017 from ICBC, many of those serial numbers on the back of the card were corrupted at the time of issue. And they have no idea which ones were and which ones weren't. Mine apparently was. And so I can't do anything until the renewal of my new card, which is in May. So if you see that I'm not on the list, that's why.
Okay. Well, thanks, Ardith. Yeah, and Ron has been really good. We're in the process of transitioning because Ron will be succeeded shortly. But Ron has been tremendously good about working through any of those.
He's been really, really helpful.
Yeah. Okay, Bill.
I was curious, is there a time limit, like where they expire, like they're good for 5 years or something like that? Because I did mine the first time, let's say 7 or 8 years ago, and then I just redid it again the other day. It asked me to do it. So I guess how long are they good for, so to speak?
The deal is Rotary recognizes them for 4 years. The Justice site recognizes them for 5 years. But individual organizations can do whatever they like within that.
Okay, thank you.
Sheila.
Yeah, this is mostly for artists. You can go renew your driver's license now. I lost mine the year I was going to renew it, and I think it was within 6 months of the renewal date. So I renewed it because I lost it, and it goes for the 5 years plus the few months. So you can just go and do it right away. You don't have to wait till May.
Okay, Karen.
Yes, Ardith, I don't know if you saw in the chat that Lauren said hyphenated names can be a problem with a criminal record check. That's interesting. I hadn't heard that. I had a question of John. You know, what if you have a member that's probably never going to be working with any of the youth? Do they need to have it too?
It is not a requirement. It is, as I mentioned, we encourage it because maximum flexibility, but Rotary does not require it for people who are not working with youth or vulnerable adults.
Okay.
Linda.
Yeah, quickly on renewing. After the 4 years, just so everybody knows, you will not get a notice to tell you to remind you to renew. It's just not how the system is set up. So it's really important for your club to keep some type of inventory of everybody who has their CRCs when they are due, so they can actually notify their members who need to get them done that year, or however that would work for you.
That's a good point, Linda. And the report that we have asked for the clubs that aren't all in yet does provide that information. So it's absolutely, it keeps that continuity. Drew.
Yeah, no offense, Linda, but I beg to differ because I got a notification via email to say that my CRC is coming due. Who sent that out? Was it sent out by the committee? Was it sent out by Ron? But I did get a notification to please update. Your CRC is coming due. Please update.
I would find out who sent it to you. Probably it's more in-house. Ron does not do those.
That's what I
that's
thought,
not part of his job description.
It's really I did get an email and I just updated it now.
Yeah, it's really the responsibility of the club.
That's right.
The club president, I guess, to stay on top of that. And I think as the process continues forward, it'll just become kind of a natural thing. So maybe 2 or 3 times a year when you're at a board meeting, you just have that on your agenda. What's our updated CRC for the club compliance? And you just go through the list and, oh, Joe Blow is missing, or he's due up next month, or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna go to Nancy, and then we're gonna need to wind this up and move along here. We will run out of time for a breakout. So Nancy.
Yes, if your individual members want to know about their CRC, they can go onto the website under their own name and it'll tell you when it expires.
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay, thanks, Nancy. Okay, and with that, thanks everybody. That was a really good discussion, and always nice when we're engaged and to the point that we're running tight on time. So Peter, over to you.
Okay, so we're getting ready for a breakout session. And so the topic is, what challenges do you face in sharing your learning to date with current and incoming board directors and club members? And what are the opportunities there? And all of us have had different levels of experience. So if we can share that, your learning and your experience, that would be great. And as you go into the sessions, could you appoint someone to maybe facilitate, but particularly have a scribe to take notes? And please pass those notes on to Nancy afterwards so we can finish the files on this session.
So that anybody would like to raise any highlights very quickly now that they go ahead and do so. But don't feel that you have to go through the sort of full report on each breakout session. Lorianne.
Sure, I'll put my hand up. So great conversation. And I think one of the things we talked about is how do we maintain the momentum? It's hard when you get all this training now and you have to maintain that momentum through until when you take over in July. And so we talked about opportunities to be able to do that, making sure that you use a team approach too. Don't forget that you've got past presidents who have a wealth of knowledge, and it's that phrase, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Make sure you use them as you move forward. We talked about that time is actually our friend, because we have that opportunity to go back into our notes every time, when we think about things, and making sure that we write it down so that we remember as we move forward into our presidency that it's how to use that or when to use it. We also talked about how hard it is to get new members up to speed. Never mind that, you're talking to old club members. It's like when you got somebody who's coming in all of a sudden in April, kind of going, okay, here's what Rotary is all about, and here's what I'm going to be doing. So you have to remember that it's ongoing all the time. As an incoming president, you need to make sure that you're kind of throwing stuff out there every once in a while, and don't be afraid to use the highlight recordings from pets. Those are perfect opportunities to showcase everybody else what you've learned. There we go.
Thank you. Nancy.
So John, our group found that the board of directors are not necessarily open to change, and that creates a big challenge. So the suggestion was to find strategic allies to help you with your ideas, have open dialogue, make sure your message is clear when dealing with change. Don't rush into everything at once. Make sure you engage your members. And one of the biggest problems was that not all the clubs have regular board meetings. So those were the challenges that we identified.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else want to flag a highlight? Okay, well, thank you very much, everybody. I hope that you enjoyed your sessions in the breakout, and we will now move on to just a couple of closing things. One is I want to we're asked to remind people about Rotary Club Central, in that if you have issues with Rotary Club Central, you're not comfortable with it, you don't know how to deal with it, we are very, very delighted to provide training with district, and we've got Nancy and Drew both on board here who are very expert in that. Remember, it doesn't have to be you as the president-elect. You may have somebody else from your club that you want to deal with that, and if they need some training, we can do that. Nancy's asked that any of you who would like to get some training, just indicate that in the chat, and we will follow up. But we're depending on demand, we'll figure out exactly how we're going to follow up with Rotary Club Central training. But if you can just flag in the chat that you're interested, that would be helpful. Nancy, does that cover what you want to cover, or is there anything else?
That's perfect, John. Yes, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, well then with that, Peter, do we have anything else before we move to Lauren?
No, that's it. Thanks, John.
Okay, perfect. Well, then it's time to introduce our district governor. Lauren Calder has been doing absolutely fantastic job of tracking what's been happening with the situation with Ukraine, with Rotary, and more than with Rotary, but he's been looking at what we can do with Rotary in terms of the situation in Ukraine. And so since we're an adaptive group, we added this to the agenda for the president's-elect, and Lauren will share some of his findings and thoughts.
Thank you, John. You know what? I feel like I'm the disaster governor, because we've had the BC wildfires, we've got the BC floods, and now we have the Ukrainian refugee crisis. So it's been that type of year, and you're not trained for this. So I just want to let you know that. So,
and don't
anyways,
forget COVID.
Hey, yeah,
Don't forget COVID, yeah.
Yeah, and COVID, yeah. So anyways, the situation in Ukraine, of course, is changing every second, every day. I bet you there's 10 emails coming out every day on this matter, and I'm sure others get even more than I do. But right now we have four things that actually are very positive out there, that if you're considering giving money to the Ukrainian crisis, then these may be the best funds to get you monies to the front, so to speak, and to their need, and also to basically also get tax receipted, which we think is also a blessing too, because we have a really good way of getting these things. So first of all is Red Cross. They had a matching grant up to $10 million from the federal and provincial governments. That, of course, has been maxed out. Any dollar you give to Red Cross is now strictly on a dollar for dollar basis. The one thing with the Red Cross movement, of course, there's Red Crosses throughout the world, and they do have a way of mobilizing and getting certain types of supplies to the Ukraine, and specifically to Hungary, Poland, and Romania. Having said that, a couple of people in the district here have had mixed results with the Red Cross initiatives. We actually have just talked to somebody from Burns Lake. They were very disappointed with the Red Cross efforts relative to BC wildfires and others. And so it's not my favorite choice, but if you believe in the Red Cross movement, we actually partner with them on many initiatives, and they do good work. If you go to the liquor store, just because if you do, they are asking you to top up your purchases by $2 or $5, all that will go to the Red Cross. Ardith, do you have a question on that? Sorry, you're on mute.
I'll wait till you're finished, Lauren. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, you're right, Karen. The overhead costs are quite high with Red Cross. It's not, if you're looking at trying to get $2 for every dollar, basically it's just more of a leverage piece, but that has been maximized. Shelter Box is currently on the ground assessing the needs. They are quite good at determining where the camps may end up becoming, where the shelter may be required, basic humanitarian food and medicines and water. They are assessing the situation as we speak. We've been very fortunate to see both Poland, Hungary, and Romania taking in refugees as we speak, and have been housing them up in shelters and in personal residences. It's been a remarkable job done by them. But Shelter Box does have a donate ability, and we'll be sending out an email here shortly, hopefully to stand there and showcase that you can donate to Shelter Box, and it will get used on the ground. And it is a Rotary sponsored organization. Disaster Aid Canada also is one of those ones that you can do online donations. It is actually housed at a Rotary Club in Ladysmith. They belong to a number of disaster aid organizations throughout the world. In fact, they do work with the disaster aid premises in Europe. And so there's another way to get dollars. They work with Rotary clubs on the ground in both all these areas, Ukraine, Hungary, Poland, and Romania, and any other country that starts to see some immigration or refugee status is starting to move across. So Disaster Aid Canada is another option for you. We've used them for the BC wildfires, and we've actually used them for the BC flood situations, and they've been remarkably responsive. What I love about Disaster Aid Canada is they will donate dollars to a specific something that maybe is not covered by other larger organizations that may have a more bureaucracy. And so because they're actually on the ground, they adapt pretty quickly to it. And so Disaster Aid Canada is another one. Just literally this week, Rotary International and the Rotary Foundation have just sent out a release. There is two components to this release. One is that they are looking for personalized donations up to April 30th to the Disaster Relief Fund, which is in the Rotary Foundation. This also has a link to it, and we'll send those links out to you very shortly. And these dollars will all be summed up or pooled up and will be given to those areas that are being most affected and are assisting on the ground. Every district on the border or in the Ukraine can apply for up to a 50,000 disaster relief fund grant. That's increased from 25,000, and they're immediately given. They don't even ask questions around it. They're there for food, water, and medicines and some other sort of stuff that's required for basic efforts. The districts are being asked to potentially give up some of their district designated funds, and we have till June 30th to do that. And so we'll be looking at that as one of our year-end decisions relative to the district designated funds. And that disaster relief fund also, if you send money to them, will count towards your Paul Harris Fellows. It will keep your per capita giving per club up. And so you'll see some benefits from doing that through the disaster relief fund. And so if you're keen on getting your Paul Harris Fellow points, you want to make sure your club gets recognition from a Rotary Foundation perspective, then this, of course, is your choice, record of choice, is the Disaster Relief Fund. We hope to have, we will be continuing to monitor some actions. Of course, we've seen the refugee status climb from about 500,000 refugees last week to about 1.25 million. And we expect this thing to get closer to 2 million before the dust settles. There's a corridor right now opened up so they can get people to flee the country. And so we know these increasing demands and needs are going to grow. They're not going to shrink by any means. So ultimately, we'll probably be holding a session probably within the next week or two, or a Zoom session for the whole district. And we hope to have Shelter Box, Disaster Aid Canada, and I have a Disaster Relief Fund expert come and attend that Zoom session sometime later in March, just because we're just trying to react to what's happening on the ground. So Ardith and then Lori Ann.
Thanks, Lauren. You've obviously had discussions already with Karen about the high overhead applied to donations to the Red Cross. And I just wanted to say, put in a word for Shelterbox, with whom Rotary International has partnered for many years. And we as a club have worked with them for many years. And the need right now, of course, is for refugees on the ground with nothing, with no clothes, with no housing. And it is a straightforward donation directly to Shelterbox, which is a safe donation, unlike some of them where they can't promise that the money's going to go directly to the people who need it. So just
I agree, Ardith. And each of these three options that I gave you there, I think they're all safe investments as well. I know they're working with Rotary clubs on the ground, and so they're all remarkable organizations.
Thanks.
Lorianne.
Thank you.
I know right now, like a lot of people, my heart hurts. You know, it's just been one thing after another over the past couple of years, and I'm tired of having a hurt heart. I impressed, but you know, it's unfortunate that Rotary's been able to act so quickly, because we've seen, you know, in the past many different events happen throughout our province, and you know, it's taken a little while, but because of that back knowledge, they now know how to get themselves motivated quickly. I know here in Quesnel, we have a young lady who runs the Long Table, which is a grocery, urban grocery store, and they're doing a Love Local global fundraiser, where, you know, if you donate $20, your name goes into a draw or whatever. So there are, you know, within the communities, everybody's doing what they can do. I know that there's a list of donations, and you can all go check out Long Table Quesnel on Facebook, and there's a list of charitable organizations there also that deal with children and orphans, etc. You know, if that's your spin on things. I love the fact that Rotary has set up the ability to make, you know, opportunities for Paul Harrison points, etc. So not that I'm taking away from that, but there is just a lot of stuff going on out there, and each of them kind of deal with, you know, one will be that housing piece, one will be about working with children. So lots and lots going out there if you just take some time and look around. But thank you, Lauren, for what you're doing to get Rotaries, Rotarians acting. Thank you.
And, you know, Lorianne, the biggest problem, I know there's like 10 fundraisers in Prince George. There's 12 in Smithers as we speak. I know I'm at the restaurant in Smithers, and they're raising monies to get monies to their over there themselves. But I can't vet all the organizations. I can speak on behalf of Shelterbox, Disaster Aid Canada, and the Disaster Relief Fund. These are all tax receipted, which is important, I think, because then you can spread your dollars even further. And so, but if you don't care about tax receipts, you're right. There's 1 million fundraisers on the go right now. So I'm very heartfelt that society, humanitarian efforts have done what they've done lately. And but I do believe that these three options from a Rotarian perspective I can vet and tell you very, very personally that they will get the dollars to the ground and through Rotary. So any other questions?
Thank you, Mark. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for attending today and for being part of the PETS experience, and of course, for stepping up to lead your clubs in the next year. So thanks for coming, and have a terrific rest of the weekend.